weed.
On this day, we're gonna do it the right way.
Judge Joe Brown wants to hear what...
Judge Joe Brown.
In the courtroom today, she says she allowed her friend to move in only to find out she was lazy, jobless, and a slob. Customer service representative Tiana Nero says her former friend owes for 6 months of rent and bills. Defendant Tanya Dozer says Tiana forced her out of the apartment. Now, here's Judge Joe Brown.
You first. How long have you known her?
I've known the defendant for the past 6 years. I met her in high school. And I found out I was pregnant in October of 2003, and I decided to get me an apartment at that time.
Why didn't you move in with the child's father or discuss?
The child's father, he lived in Los Angeles.
He's in doing time now.
Yeah, he currently is.
All right. So what do you decide to do when you say you were going to help her out?
Because where she was living at, she said that she didn't like the environment that she was living at, which was her aunt's house. And she said that they were always stealing her money when she got paid. And so I told her that I was moving in my apartment in October, that she can come and stay with me to help her out, and that she could help me pay with the bills and everything. And she moved in with me on the second week towards of November. And at that time, she gave me $200. And I told her that my rent was $560, that she would only have to pay me $250 of that. And then that she'd also have to pay me $50 for the groceries and then $75 for the utilities. And then everything just started getting hectic. The first week of December when she came there with me, I came home and there was always trash on the floor. There was always dishes everywhere. No, there was dishes everywhere all the time. Every time I came home, there was food all over the counters, and I asked her, why won't you clean up, Tanya? Why won't you clean up? Then she came home one day talking about, oh, well, I quit my job because I didn't like the commute. It was too far for me to drive. So I understood that because I used to drive.
Like a personal problem, though.
Yeah, personal problem, yeah.
I'm curious about the boyfriend, though. Where was her boyfriend during all of this?
Her boyfriend
she says she threw a party for her boyfriend going away, and that's why you got upset with her, amongst other things. So where is her boyfriend while all of this is going on?
He was always there. Every time I came home, he was there. He was
not always there.
Every time I came home, he was always laying on the couch.
I was curious as to where he was working while
he didn't have a job. He was a hustler.
He was working.
That's what he was. And he wasn't giving her any money either.
Sorry excuse for a man. So what drugs was he selling then with no job? He had money.
Weed. That's what he so-called was selling. And he still didn't even give her none of the money that he was collecting from that to give me for the rent.
Because he wasn't selling weed.
So by the following year, which she claimed that she was going to pay me with her income tax in January, she never even paid me from that because she said her income tax fell through, that they didn't give her any money back.
Okay. So tell me about the complaints you had with her. You say
that's all she did was complain every day.
Well, I'm sure after this is over, she'll thank you if you continue to help her out with her case. I'm making side comments like that, so she complained every day. You say that she'd have a lot of people coming over.
Every day.
She'd throw a lot of little social sets. Everybody'd get drunk, drink a lot, and smoke weed on the premises.
Yeah, it was okay when she had company, but every time I had company, it's a problem.
Well, yeah, she's paying the rent. It's her
I was
place.
there, so I mean.
What's that?
I was staying there, so I was able to have company.
So how are you staying there if all you put up was $200 for this period of time? You're freeloading.
I would buy fruits and vegetables for myself because I'm supposed to be so healthy during my pregnancy.
I know.
She would eat up all my fruits and vegetables.
And then you got to worry about other problems because of getting a contact high off of somebody smoking a little herb and spice
and she'd say, we can go in the bathroom. We can go on the balcony. It's not going to bother you.
What happened on this last party situation? What went on?
Basically, it was the final straw where she was supposed to get money from her mother and her father to give me. And I came home late, about 11 o'clock. It was actually my cousin who came there with me. She could even vouch for what she seen. As soon as I walked in the door...
Let me hear from your cousin. Step up, cousin. What did you see when you got
Nothing.
there? What did you see when you got there?
Well, my cousin, she got off of work.
I got that. When you arrived at the premises, fast forward.
Because at first I was sitting in the car and then they were
walked through
I heard the argument and everything, and then that's when I came in the inside and I was like, what's going on? And then she was like telling Tanya, well, my cousin, she was telling Tanya to get all her stuff to get out, and I seen a gang of people. First when I walked in, there was
a gang of people?
Like about 10 people. It was a cloud. First I couldn't even see anybody because it was a cloud of smoke. It was a cloud of smoke in the apartment.
Stop.
I wasn't. Ladies.
Stop. Stop. We are at a cloud of smoke.
When I first walked inside the apartment, all you see is smoke in there.
I hate cigarettes. So
Smoke. Weed
Stop
smoke.
mumbling. You're interfering with your witness.
Weed smoke, cigarette smoke, beer bottles, bottles of Hennessy, expensive bottles, so I don't see how she couldn't pay rent because all this expensive alcohol was there. And she's telling her, you know, you need to get out. And her friends are all looking at my cousin like, man, your cousin's tripping and da-da-da. And I'm like, what is going on? That's all. I mean, I just seen.
Okay, that's what you saw. Now let's go to you. Defend yourself.
Okay, well, first of all, I moved in November, like the first week, and I gave her $200. And then December, I quit my job because I was commuting back from there to where I was living at, and it wasn't enough money anyway. I was paying more gas. And then I was looking for a job, and I told her, and she was fine. And in April, when my boyfriend was going away, I threw him a party in which I told her, and I don't know if she had amnesia or what she has, but I told her that I was going to throw a little party, and it was only going to be a couple of people over, which there was a couple of people.
Sounds like at least 10.
No, it was like 4 or 5. It wasn't even that much people.
How'd you pay for the goodies that everybody was?
Well, my boyfriend's friend paid for all the stuff that was there.
4 or 5 people, but you guys are 2. Your boyfriend's friend and him, that's already 4.
Yeah, and I said 4 or 5.
All your other friends, Tamika and
4 or 5.
her
Anyway,
sister.
And she came in, it was
already
April.
named 8.
But there was 4 or 5 people there.
There were 4 or 5 people there.
Not including the people that were in the bathroom and in the back rooms.
There weren't nobody in no back room.
There was somebody
no,
in
there was
my
not
room.
nobody
Yes,
in
there
no
was.
back.
Yes, there was.
Anyway,
There was someone in my room.
in April 26th, that's when she came in and she started tripping on my company, telling them to get out. I mean,
Were they smoking in the place?
Yes.
no.
We'll be right back with Judge Joe Brown.
Get that funky
It was
nicotine
foggy.
smell and all of the
There was
drugs
blunt
and
wraps
everything.
all over
They
the
were-
table. There was like 6 blunt
They
wraps.
were, I walked in
Oh,
like when the
blunt
door
is
was
when
open.
they put it in a cigar, so it really
are
gets wild up in there.
Yeah.
And later today, plaintiff in this case says allowing the defendant to move in was a disaster. She says the defendant promptly quit her job and did a lot of partying. Let's take a look.
Continue, please.
They were smoking on the balcony cigarettes. They weren't. They
And
were
the
not
balcony was
loud.
open.
Oh, well, it seems like there was a little bit more being smoked.
No, that's what they're
there.
saying.
Yes,
Well,
there
they
was.
tested it. That's the testimony.
Cigarettes don't
there,
make
no?
that much smoke.
That's what they're saying. Yes, it does. Anyway,
Was it that much smoke?
no,
Yes.
it was not.
It was foggy.
If that was, okay.
Get that funky
It was
nicotine
foggy. How could it be
smell and all
foggy?
of the curtains, the rugs,
There was blunt
and
wraps
everything.
all over
They
the
were-
table. All over the table. There was like 6 blunt
They were
wraps.
hotboxing. All the doors were closed. That's why it was so foggy in there because all the
now,
doors were
why-
closed.
you guys are it was foggy. It was
I walked in
Oh,
like when
blunt
the
is
door was
when
open.
they put it in a cigar, so it
are
really get wild
exaggerating.
up in there.
Yeah.
No, it was not. It was. If it was wild, I'm pretty sure the manager would have came over.
No, don't
don't
give me
I have-
that
I have
argument
cool
about
neighbors
if
that
it was
jump
all
in the
this and
manager
that,
would've
then this
came.
I
would
have
have
cool
happened.
neighbors. They're cool with me.
They don't like you. You don't like them. No, let me tell you.
My
One
neighbors
day
are
the
cool with
neighbors
me.
were playing TV. She's pregnant. She has a broom.
So what?
Hitting
It
the
was too
ceiling
loud.
with the broom and cursing the neighbor out. Just because she's
Because it
pregnant,
was so
tripping.
loud.
In high school, they didn't like her. All she did was talk about people, complain all the
Known
time.
as the biggest slob in Lancaster.
Not just talking about the whole
Stop,
Lancaster, they don't like her.
stop. Okay. What was it that you were going to tell me?
Well, Tiana, she is the biggest complainer in the world. Like, we're friends or whatever.
Would you tell me what in the world is wrong with complaining? when
Because
you
all
have the
she
right
does is
to
complain about
complain?
everything. But then,
And look. Do you pay the rent?
yes, I do.
Somebody comes in there, hasn't given you a dime, starts telling you what you're gonna do in your place. What's your reaction?
I put them out, but I don't let them stay
That's
for
exactly.
November,
the case
December, January,
we're
February,
dealing
March,
with.
April.
A best
Well,
friend
I
for
don't
6
let them
years.
do
All
that.
right, your
Well, then
witness.
I don't sue
Your
them.
witness
I don't
has
sue
stated the
Best friend,
essence
no
of your
best friend,
case.
no here.
Respect, please.
The witness has stated the case for the plaintiff, but it's the defendant's witness.
Exactly. Do you want me to tell you my story?
I don't want to hear it. You're out of the mouths of babes, et cetera, et cetera. You just added some material to the pot here to stir.
I
Judgment.
don't smoke weed, first of all.
We didn't
so-
say you
Well, you said
smoke
something
weed.
about pothead. I don't
That's-
smoke.
That isn't what I said. I just said you added some
Well-
interesting material to the pot.
He said pothead.
I didn't say pothead. I said that it's going to be stirred. Now, Is it on your mind? You need something to chill out or something?
No. She probably needs
She probably does.
Yeah, well,
You need some.
anyway,
They are the biggest hypocrites in the world.
Quiet.
I swear.
Quiet.
I'm not gonna say what you need.
Well, be quiet. I'm not used to getting talked back to. Don't anybody open their mouth. If they do, it will be costly. We have one 20-year-old friend of another 20-year-old who has problems at home with her relatives, so she decides to move in with the plaintiff. At her convenience, she decides to quit her job because it is too far to drive, and she cuts herself off from the wherewithal to take care of her obligations, to wit, paying the rent. Well, some of her people wind up giving her some money, but it's more important to have a send-off party for the boyfriend, who seems to have been living over there for this entire period of time free of charge.
No, that don't make sense at all.
Yeah, well, he's up there every day. He uses the water,
He wasn't there every day. He
flushes
was not there every day. He lives in the valley.
Well, I'm sorry. He was enjoying
there
the
every
benefits.
day.
I did not tell you not to interrupt. It'll be costly. That's $50 extra added on to the judgment for contemptuous behavior. Now shut your mouth. Shake your head again. I'm adding another 50. Stand still and act like you've got some respect. Your boyfriend's laying up there with a whole lot of free time. You're about to get yourself in the same situation she got herself in.
That won't happen.
Look,
I'm sorry.
and over here, you already made your mistake. Don't make another one in life. But I'm going to give you what you asked for. That's $28.75 plus the extra $100 for two $50 assessments for inappropriate behavior. Judgment accordingly, $29.75. End the call.
This court is in recess. Ladies, you're excused. In a moment, I'll have you step out the door to your right, and you all may follow me.
The plaintiff says her former roommate never paid rent and continued to smoke marijuana when she was pregnant. The judge awards her just over what she was asking. Now, on to the next case.
Where do you get the money?
This struggling mom's story
I'm not lying to you. I'm telling you the truth.
just isn't adding up.
It looks like welfare fraud to me.
A daycare provider tires of a client who doesn't take her kids or their contract seriously. Hair braider Loran Holmes is suing her former daycare provider for breach of contract. Defendant Sonia Harris is countersuing for loss of income. Now it's Joe time.
Listen, Ms. Holmes, you're suing the Harrises, and you allege that they should refund payments you made to them along with some other damages because they terminated your daycare services without notice, which caused you unnecessary expenses.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Harris, you deny any liability to the plaintiff, and you allege that due to the misrepresentations, you had a severe loss of business opportunity. You're seeking $5,000 on your cross complaint. All right, now, Ms. Holmes, state your case, please. You
Hello,
have two
Judge
children,
Joe Brown.
right?
This has come long.
You
Waited
do
to
hair
come and meet
braiding.
you.
You have
Yes,
a
sir.
12-year-old son, a 3-year-old daughter.
Yes, sir.
All right, you enrolled those two children in her home-based child care facility. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
In September year last, you alleged that without warning, you were informed that the defendant had dropped you as a client.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, you say you had to immediately take time off from your hair braiding business to find a new child care provider. Now, a question. Did either of the defendants inform you of this?
No, sir.
Well, how did you learn of this termination of your relationship?
Since I'm low income, I have child action services that is paid by the state, and I was informed by my worker when I called and talked to her because I hadn't been answering or getting calls answered by Sonia Harris.
How long has she not answered your call?
At least 3 days.
And you had to take off from work. Where were your children?
With my mother.
Well, why would they be with your mother such that when she did not return your calls for 3 days, You then learned from a representative of the agency that she had terminated your relationship with her.
I have shown up at the door and there was no answer, sir.
Doesn't that suggest that you weren't regularly taking the children by there?
Actually, sir, I have a variable schedule, which Miss Sonia was aware of. I can work
variable schedule.
I can work 0 to 7 days a week.
So you had to cancel numerous hair appointments over what period of time?
I believe it was September 26th through the 27th, 28th, around that time.
So in 2 days, you claim you lost a minimum of $500 income in 2 days, and you worked 7 days a week. My goodness, that would be $1,500 bloody dollars in 1 week minimum. Times 4, that's $6,000 a month. And you get public assistance?
No, Your Honor.
Well, then I can do the math. That's what the inference is. So how do you state the basis for the claim of $500?
If you'd like me to start
You want to prove that?
We can drop that part, but I would like to start from the beginning.
I don't want to, because I'm paying taxes and it looks like welfare fraud to me. And by the way, how do they become liable for $1,579.44 for an ambulance bill?
Because the fire department came to my house and they came and picked me up.
What's that got to do with it? What do they have to do with that?
Because I was under strain and stress from...
You're about to get caught and busted and might be put in jail or federally prosecuted from the looks of things. And by the way, you also want damages for having to get alternative child care, right?
Yes, sir.
How?
Because I had to pay out of my pocket the money that I had been saving from working, from slaving, from braiding hair. It's a hard job.
Excuse me, under the guidelines, all you had to do was submit another claim and they would have taken care of paying for that alternative child care provision. So why would you suffer a loss of income because you couldn't get anybody to take care of your children with the state subsidy?
The child care provider, that is the licensed child care provider, is the one that charged me the $850.
And how do you afford, you say you paid it, how do you afford to pay your mama $800 for that period of time when there's some income guidelines that you've already exceeded by your testimony? How does that happen?
Excuse me, sir. Everything that I collect is documented. Everything that I do, I file taxes on it. I've been braiding since 1995.
How much did you claim on your taxes last year?
$14,000.
And you've already claimed that, oh, we're going someplace?
No, I'm having a hard time.
What is your complaint about this? You just out of the blue, they tell you your kids can't come here anymore. No, they don't tell you that. They tell the child care entity that she can't bring these kids here.
Correct. After I was leaving numerous messages for her, calling her numerous times.
Well, when did you leave the children there?
I don't have the exact dates, but it was in September around the 20th. And around the 22nd and 23rd, that's when she stopped answering my phone calls.
Why do you think she did that?
After I came to the door. Because I have a variable schedule, and she wants children that are there that's a full-time or a set schedule. So I can call her if someone calls me and asks to get their hair braided and says, I need you right now. Then I will call my child care provider and ask her, can I bring my kids over right now? I was approved from 0 hours or 0 days a week to 7 days a week. So if I didn't have any clients, then I worked 0 days a week. If I had 7 clients 7 days a week, I would work 7 days. So that, with that schedule being variable and the hours being the hours that they were, that I braid up until 3:30 in the morning, maybe it wasn't comfortable for her. I don't know. That's what I'm here for.
Well, my God, who is expecting for somebody to leave a 3-year-old and a 12-year-old till 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning?
A 24-hour daycare provider. That was our agreement, Your Honor. Before I took her as a child care provider, I told her that.
As per my conversation with Ms. Sonia Harris of September 28th of year last, this letter is to confirm that the last day of payment by Child Action, Inc. was 9/27/09 for the parent and children listed below.
Correct. And do you see the part where...
You have the right to ask families using your services to leave your facility or home for any reason.
We'll be right back with Judge Joe Brown.
She brought her kids, I think, 2 or 3 times. And at that point, I called Child Action. And I told them that I wasn't going to keep her kids anymore because she wasn't giving me notice. She would actually walk into my daycare with Mariah and sit there for 5 or 10 minutes and then say, I'm leaving.
The plaintiff says she sent her children to the defendant's daycare facility. She says the defendant didn't give her proper notice and just discontinued their contract. Let's take a look.
Now, you tell me your side of things. I want to hear your cross complaint.
Okay.
What's going on here, please?
Judge Brown, I'm countersuing Loran for $5,270.36. And this is for time that was unused in my child care from February of 09 to September of 09. We talked, and she stated that her schedule was a variable schedule, in which I did understand that at the time because we are 24 hours. But I don't think she understood what 24-hour schedule is. I think that as a business owner, as a hair braider, you have to respect people's time. And if she's going to have clients, she needs to let her clients know that I have to be on a schedule. So it really didn't go like that. She wouldn't give me a 24-hour notice. She would call me on a whim and say, I'm bringing my kids in. Most of the time, I would actually take her children into my daycare. Now, there was not ever a time that she knocked on my door and I didn't answer my door. There was never a time. I'm not afraid of her. She doesn't have a gun, or, I mean, what am I intimidated by? Why would I not answer my door to either let her know, look, you didn't call me in enough advance, I took a walk in, so I won't be able to keep your children today. That's just the bottom line of it. So she came to my care from February to May. June and July, she didn't even show up. I don't know what happened to her children during those 2 months. I called Child Action.
Now, you're saying she doesn't even show up for 2 months.
She doesn't even show up. She doesn't call me. There was times, in fact, let me just go push back a little bit.
I live right around the corner.
She wasn't bringing...
Well, you know, it says, hold on, payment will be processed within 10 working days of receipt of attendance form. That's what this is. It's a
Thank
copy.
you very much.
And there's a 2-month absence, excuse me, in this time period where there are no such forms for claim of income. So
Correct.
that seems to corroborate her testimony.
Well, in September, she brought her kids, I think, 2 or 3 times. And at that point, I called Child Action. And I told them that I wasn't going to keep her kids anymore because she wasn't giving me notice. She would actually walk into my daycare with Mariah and sit there for 5 or 10 minutes and then say, I'm leaving.
The business that I'm in, I have no control over when I'm going to braid or when I'm going to work, or if somebody gets off at 3:30 in the afternoon and needs their hair braided and it's going to take 12 hours and I'm done at 3:30. That's why I fought for the time at Child Action for me to get those hours approved, that I can start from the salon that I work through from 9:30 in the morning to 3:30 in the morning. I can take an appointment anytime throughout that day.
She doesn't even have a business license. I checked. She has no business license.
I work for Amici Salon, ma'am. They have a business license.
Did you do it at your home?
I do it all over the place.
Now, you've provided the documentation that you had numerous requests from others to provide child care services, but you had to turn them down because she had represented that she was coming by.
Right.
But
and I can't...
the agreement you have with them is until you terminate the relationship, you have to keep that slot open.
Right.
So it's like you got to get totally discommoded because she's got variable hours that are without any notice at all.
Exactly.
You know, I got to bring the kid down there and then don't show up.
Right.
So your complaint's denied. I'm granting your cross complaint. $4,680 in your cost.
Thank you, Your Honor.
This courtroom is now in recess.
Well, the defendant provided daycare, but they didn't like the childlike behavior of the plaintiff. I'd say the judge agreed. Her case is denied. The defendants take it on the counterclaim.
After a kitchen makeover, did somebody cook up a scheme?
You seem like you're honest people, so which one of you do I believe?
All rise for Judge Joe Brown. Whoa! Experience, knowledge, and a passion for the truth.
I'm protecting womanhood and promoting manhood.
Bringing no-nonsense justice to Americans everywhere.
If you listen, you may learn something.
It's time for Judge Joe.
There may be a flaw in the foundation of a deal on some granite countertops. Metal fabricator William Congrove is suing his former friend for the balance on a countertop installation job. Betty Chris Gee says the work was never completed. Now it's Joe time.
Let's see, Mr. Congrove, you're suing Mr. G, and you say that you installed some granite countertops in his home, and he was to be charged $1,500 for the fabrication and installation, and he only tendered $1,000.
Correct.
And you, sir, Mr. G, say that the plaintiff is asking for more money than your agreement stipulated to. Is that right?
Yes.
You first, sir.
All right, well, back in 2008, when he had purchased a new house and he was remodeling, excuse me, he asked me if I could look into putting granite countertops in his house, and I said I would look into it. Once he picked out the type of granite that he wanted, I proceeded with the job. I hired 2 of my co-workers, one to help me fabricate and one to help me install it. From there, we did the work, and time went by, and I didn't get paid. He didn't have the money, so I waited, and it just kept going on that way for a long period of time, and it started to put strains on things. You know, I'd get frustrated at him, he'd get frustrated. So I put it off, and I kept putting it off until eventually I just kind of walked away from the friendship. And my girlfriend and his wife, they've kind of lost their friendship in the middle of all of it because they didn't, you know, it was uncomfortable for all of us to be with one another. And, you know, it just was like giving me the money that I was owed was just not a priority. And, you know, I understand times are tough, but, you know, it just never, I was just never paid. As for the changing my price, that's just not true.
Well, actually, what you're presenting to me, amongst other things, is this was predicated on your being able to take advantage of a steal, basically, on the granite, and the invoice as to what you paid for the granite, the material, was $835. And you had 2 workers to assist, and it looks like each got paid $150, so that's $300 more out of pocket. So basically, you were out $135 that you had to pay out of your pocket. So let's go to you, sir. Mr. G, why is he supposed to give you the gift of $135?
Well, the original statement, yes, I came into a very lucky situation when the housing market dropped and I got a home. It needed repairs. The original conversation between me and Mr. Congrove was, hey, do you want to go out to the local home repair store with me? I've got to order countertops for my house. He's the one that said, why am I not putting granite in? I said, well, I don't have that in the budget. He said, what are they charging you for I was just going to get regular old Formica custom countertops. My kitchen's got custom shaped counters. I told him they were charging me $983. He said, I don't see why I can't do granite for $1,000 if you get the right colors of stone. I said, I can do that, but that's what my budget is. This is my budget.
Now, I see what he's saying. If this person was talking about $980-some, 900 what, how much?
983 is what I was quoted from the hardware store.
Okay, well, his got that undersold by $835 on the supply of granite. Have you seen the invoices?
No, there was no
invoices. Here, this is what he paid, the check that was processed for the granite. You guys look like you played football, but, you know, picking up those granite slabs a little work for one guy to do, so having 2 helpers in there and paying them $150 for a couple of days' work or a day's work, whatever, isn't much. Now, you have a problem here with your imprecision. See, you have to be careful when you have a discussion with somebody.
Okay. If I may, I never agreed to a price, and I would never quote someone an actual price
Well,
until
it's an
I found out.
approximation.
Well, that's not even the approximation I gave, honestly. When before I gave him an answer, I talked to one of my coworkers who had been in the business longer than I, and asked him how much I should charge for something like this, because I didn't know how much I would have to pay him and how much I'd have to pay the other coworker. And so he told me I should probably charge around $2,000. Now,
But that isn't what you told your friend.
Yes, I told him when we first talked about this that I could do this for probably between $1,500 and $2,000. And apparently when I said $1,500, that was...
Did you discuss the approximate price of the materials?
I made it pretty clear that when I got that check for $1,000 that this is what it was going to.
But you didn't have it in writing.
No.
And you see, there's nothing wrong with a handshake arrangement. That's the way most people did business.
Right.
But you have to be sure that he understands what he's going on. So, you see, the other thing, too, is I don't know whether in the course of your friendship, since your significant others also are close, were you drinking a pitcher of beer, you know, at the local pizza place, or watching the ball game, you know, or throwing a few down?
We'll be right back with Judge Joe Brown.
I used to own a painting company. And more than one time, I ended up doing a job for free. Once I quote somebody a price, that's the price. Done deal.
And later today,
they needed a vehicle because the baby was coming. So I was like, hey, this is a good opportunity for you all to take it over my car note. I received a call from his girlfriend while I was at a friend's baby shower. She was frantic saying, you know, James wrecked the car. I think he was drunk.
It's Joe time after this.
We're back with Judge Joe Brown. The plaintiff in this case says his friend hired him to install some granite countertops. He says he hired a staff, bought the materials, did the work, and lost a friend over money. Let's get back to the case.
So you say, and I find this interesting, this is a matter of Irish pride. Once you say it's the price, that's the way it is, and you can't go back on your word. So that's why you're hostile, right?
Yes, sir. I used to own a painting company. And more than one time, I ended up doing a job for free, basically because I misjudged. What's this materials going to cost me? What's my labor going to cost me? Once I quote somebody a price, that's the price. Done deal.
Well,
you know, I am not going to go back to a customer and
that's the American way. Okay. What do you got to say about that? He's right.
I guess the heart of the matter is that was never said. I never agreed to $1,000, and that's just not...
Well, what did you say?
I would never, as a professional, quote someone a price before I know what I have to pay for a slab of stone. He could have walked in there and picked out a $4,000 slab of granite, and then where would I have been?
Hold on. Let me just read you your language. The reason I was able to do the job and to make it so affordable for him was because I was able to get it through a contractor company I worked for. When what I purchased for him normally sold for $1,200. Now, if you talk about $1,200 plus $150 for one assistant, $150 for another, it comes out to $1,500. But you were able to get it for, quote, below wholesale for $835. So when you put the other $300 in there, it gets really closely approximate to $1,000. Now, when you don't put something in writing, it's not that someone's being dishonest or attempting to cheat you. It's just that what he heard is not what you recall that you said. Now, the way this works out, when you get yourself in a situation like this, you're just supposed to suck it up and move on. I think he was doing you a favor, so to break even without him having to be in a situation of having to pay for you, you're going to pay him the $135, just as a fair thing that he had to pay out of his pocket. I think you need to shake hands and just get this as a lesson in life, all right?
This courtroom is now in recess.
It was a handshake deal for granite. Too bad it wasn't written in stone because the quote wasn't clear and the plaintiff ended up losing some cash.
They wanted to have a threesome.
First, 3 became 2.
We took it to the next level and became a couple.
Then she 2-timed him.
He doesn't need to be dealing with you sleeping with somebody up in the mail room.
Ooh, bad girls you love to hate. Today on Judge Joe Brown.
A couple starts as part of a threesome and ends over cheating. Taxi driver Ronaldo Barada is suing his ex-girlfriend for property damage and rent. Defendant Aileen Vasquez is countersuing for attorney's fees and a stolen check. Now, here's Judge Joe Brown.
Mr. Barada, it would appear that you are claiming that the defendant, Ms. Vasquez, is delinquent on certain, well, rentals, is it? And also for some damage to a rental property. Ma'am, you say you don't owe the plaintiff anything, and you also say that he's liable to you for having you arrested and for converting your IRS stimulus check. Mr. Barada, would you please tell me your case?
Okay, I met Aileen Vasquez off of a friend when we were
used
having
to hang
a
out
threesome.
in the same building.
Yes, we used to be in the same building. I never knew the defendant had a crush on me. Never knew anything about that until I met a friend that I knew, and we used to go out, all three of us, having a good time, until one day they wanted to have a threesome with me, so I agree.
Menage a trois.
So I agree.
Now, sit down. Nobody called you up here.
I just really don't agree with what
Well,
you're saying.
you don't know. You weren't there, apparently.
He wasn't there. I don't even know who this guy is. He's not even involved
It's
with
a new
anything.
boyfriend. That
He's
may
my
be the
fiancé.
father of the child that you're talking about here. So we don't know. We'll get there.
But like I said, the other female, me and her were getting a little too serious, and she didn't even want to be involved with me because she didn't want to hurt this girl. So she decided to move away. So at that time, I was by myself, you know, struggling, doing what I had to do. And she, Aileen and I were seeing each other every day. So we took it to the next level and became a couple. Then we decided to move in with each other. So when we moved in with each other...
Both signed a lease. That was May 1st of '07.
Yes.
And the lease was supposed to run through April 31st of the year current.
Yes.
$915 a month rent. Was that for each of you or total?
It's $915 total.
All right.
So we moved in. Everything seemed to be jolly until we moved downstairs and got a new lease.
That's in the same building?
In the same building. So we were together, and everything was all right. Everything was peachy, according to me. Until I started to see signs of phone calls on bills with people from her job, stories about her being with guys in her job, like your man from the mailroom, Ty, whatever his name is.
We don't even work together. Like,
You
what are
accused her of an
talking about?
infidelity.
Oh yes, definitely. Even with a gentleman named Jesse in her job, I found out everything. She cheated on me with him.
That's not true.
Okay. So when I found out everything, I couldn't be with her no more. I knew it for a fact that she's just a liar and she just wanted to do what she wanted to do. So
then why'd you have a baby with her?
It may be yours.
I didn't want the
we
baby,
better
man.
Be quiet. There's been
I didn't
no...
want the baby.
So why
Hold
are you taking
on,
me to
there's been
family
no
court
di-
now
by
and
the
trying
way,
to
young
say you
man,
want
by the
him?
way,
Why you claimed you want him
excuse
so
me.
bad now?
Excuse me.
Because you don't let me see him.
Excuse
Because,
me.
oh no, I thought he wasn't yours.
We will have order in here, and young man, if you can't restrain yourself, I'll have you removed. By the way, since there has not been, I would strongly suggest that for this 18-month-old male child, you have a DNA test done.
He knows that baby is his, Your
He
Honor.
doesn't know.
He knows it for a
He
fact.
doesn't
He
know.
is full of...
What you don't even really disagree with his proposition so much
I'm
as to the
sure
running
that baby
around.
is his.
You
No,
know, it's
I've
like
never
this.
cheated
You lay
on
down
him.
in a bed of thorns and roll over. It's awful hard to say which one stuck you. You know.
Judge Joe Brown.
You've given me a copy of the lease.
Yes, the copy's here.
And now we haven't got quite there yet. Hold you. I'm going to have you pass all of that up in a minute. Now, okay, let me ask some specific questions here. Now, you say you had some difficulties with her because of her perceived infidelities. Now, at that point, you say she moved to her mother's house.
Correct.
Didn't want to have too much to be bothered with you. Now, there was this point where you say you two needed to meet and discuss the past due rentals and bills. Now,
To get to the vandalism or the malicious mischief, from your complaint, sir, it would appear that you advised her that you didn't want her to come there unless you were present.
Exactly, but the locks will never change. I never threw her out. The locks are still the same as at this time as we
Now,
speak.
is it or is it not a fact that she did go to that apartment when you weren't there?
That's a fact.
Now, how long had it been since she'd moved out?
It was a couple of months.
2 weeks.
It was about 2 months.
weeks.
She stood away, and that was cool. We were seeing each other. I would see the baby with her.
He was there when my
By
son
this
was
time,
born.
the child had been born. Is that right?
Correct.
I left him 3 days later.
Now, hold
after
on.
the baby
You
was
get
born.
your chance. I can't
You left
hear.
me.
You
I didn't
two
kick
aren't
you out.
harmonizing anyway,
Because
so
you was sleeping
why
with
don't
somebody
you...
else.
Yeah.
And I have proof.
Mm-hmm.
Have you finished school yet?
Forgive me, Your Honor.
No.
Yes, I have.
Well, I take it that you do know what it means when I say, would you hold that point and wait until your turn? They still do that. They do that at school, don't they? Wait your turn? All right, it's not your turn yet. All right, hold on. Now, you're saying in your complaint that she broke the door
I don't know
and
if it was
she
her
did
or
other
brother.
damage inside. You say she went through and ransacked the place,
I
and
got
she
arrested for
found
it.
some pictures of you and another young woman on a camera.
Yes, but we already separated.
You say that she breached the lease of which she is a signatory, to which she is a signatory, and she moved out 10 months early.
Yes.
We'll be right back with Judge Joe Brown.
Did you not realize new boyfriend was going to hear about your
The
threesomes?
things you'll do to get somebody that you won't do to keep them. That's
He
what I
didn't
used
wanna
to get
keep
them,
you.
'cause I
Nope.
wanted them.
Nope.
Plaintiff in this case says he met the defendant when they hooked up as a threesome and they later became a couple. He says the defendant cheated, so he kicked her out, but she returned and her jealousy led to damages. Let's take a look.
You had to pay for the damages to the premises and further, and you had her arrested and charged.
Yes.
Is that right?
Correct.
And as a matter of retaliation in the big city of New York, she went down to another part of court and swore out a restraining order against you, which was ex parte, so you couldn't contact her about the rent.
About anything.
So
Not even my
you
child.
are seeking $4,658, and you also allege that, amongst other things, she hasn't allowed you to have any visitation with this child.
I don't want a drug addict around my baby, Your Honor.
You smoke weed too, so
Would
shut
you
up.
I don't
stop
sniff
that?
it up my nose.
Stop that. Point one, I've already asked you
Cocaine.
not to do that. That's rude. Point two, it has been my experience in the 4+ decades I've been doing this that when somebody starts jumping in, he's a drug addict, he smokes weed, reefer, marijuana, or something, and you start trying to besmirch somebody's character, that is almost a red flag saying, I did everything that I'm being accused of, so I'm trying to deflect attention from what I did wrong by making this other person look wrong.
There goes your flag. I'll knock you out, dude.
And all right. Okay. What are you doing
He wants
before
to get knocked out.
somebody
That's what he
knocks
wants.
your dumb
He's
self
acting his
out and
character
puts
like
you
a
in
monkey.
place?
He's acting his character.
Don't stick your tongue out. That's crazy. Act like a man. Show some dignity.
I apologize.
Kid.
Your woman over here can't control herself. You control yourself.
Fair enough.
Fool.
It's a man thing.
Fair enough.
Be a man.
Thank you. Now, pass up your paperwork if you would. Pictures, whatever you have.
Thank you.
May have.
There you go.
Okay. All right. Now, you have the floor.
Okay.
First question I have of you, did you or did you not sign this original lease?
Yes, I did.
Now, you claim you're not responsible for the vandalism.
Not at all, Your Honor.
How can you say that?
He's saying that we were broken up for 2 months. He was in the delivery room when I had our child together.
Oh, we went together?
My
Hold
baby,
on a
my
second.
baby.
When you had a child, you haven't taken him in yet. There's no paternity order, nor is there a DNA test before the paternity order is
He
granted.
willfully signed the paternal acknowledgement
They
form.
signed the
My son
birth
has his
certificate.
last name. Never once did he say to me that he didn't believe that my baby was ours.
He's trying to do the right thing.
Okay. Me and my son actually went back to that home in the Bronx.
He said that.
Together. We were still together because we were still as a couple. We had our problems. The baby ended up being sick and having to be hospitalized for a week.
Because you were drinking and smoking.
Stop that. You don't interrupt either.
Whatever. He was jaundiced, Your Honor. That has nothing to do with
what's
anything.
that got to do with this case? Because you say you're not responsible for the vandalism. Because let me read your answer to you that you swore to. Quote, I do not owe the plaintiff anything because I did not do any damage to his property. I did not break into his apartment as he claims. Quote, I found out that he was cheating on me with my best friend, so I moved out. That gives you a motive. Next thing, you say on the day that I entered the apartment that we shared together, quote, I was mad and I did bust up some glass.
The pictures.
But it's no big deal.
Pictures of he and I that were together. I grabbed me and my son's belongings and I left. There was photographs of he and I together.
I did bust up some glass, but that was it. It was no big deal. All I did was grab my belongings and my newborn son's belongings and left. As far as I'm concerned, I owe him nothing. Well, bust up some glass. What was the glass on?
What,
or
2 or
3,
maybe 4 picture frames? Maybe 4 picture frames of photographs of he and I together.
Well, could you explain the damage to the door?
Yeah, he broke it down once he saw that I broke
Why
some
did he
stuff.
need to break it down? He's got
so
the
that
key.
He can file these false charges against me.
He's a taxi driver in New York. He locked the door with the key that morning.
I did not do
Look
that.
at that.
That is, come on, I'm going to do that. That's a big metal
you can
door.
do that. Did you have somebody help you?
Not at all. He
Look
walked
at that.
in.
They had to
walked
replace
in,
the bloody doggone
saw
thing.
the mess that I made in the apartment, and so that he can actually have something to file these false charges against me, which were dismissed.
File false charges?
My case,
you confessed to doing what he accused you of.
I didn't break that door down. My criminal case was dismissed for his lack of evidence.
He
and
didn't
follow-up.
have a lack of evidence. The bottom line is, look, if she just stops this and doesn't come around anymore, I won't continue to want you to prosecute this woman. They null-pros the case. That's not a dismissal on the merits. You've confessed under oath. You did the acts. You were mad because you found what? You think he was dating your good friend.
I found the pictures after I already entered the apartment with my key.
You had abandoned the premises, you say, because you decided he was dealing with infidelities to you and you didn't want to be there anymore. That's what you said. Now, you came back in there. You claim he had you falsely arrested, but from reading the complaint and the arrest report, they had good cause to arrest you.
The damage that he did to his own apartment.
He didn't do that damage. You did.
I broke
Why does he need to kick in his own bloody door? He has a key.
So that he can call the police and have me locked up.
Excuse me. Framed? How does he need to frame you when you just say, I just broke up some glass?
I broke some pictures of he and
what
I
do you
because
call
he
that?
sold me
you
stories
did you own the
of
pictures?
A beautiful
no,
marriage,
you did it because you were angry.
Together.
That's malicious mischief. That's malice. That is the criminal act.
We'll be back with more Judge Joe Brown in a moment.
Every time he brings her back to court to go against child support and visitation, you know what happens? She takes time off, I go with her, and who don't show up? Him.
You never went. Danny was there. Your brother was there the last time we
The last time, because that was the first time he ever showed up.
Yeah, whatever, dude. Don't act tough, bro.
A hard-headed woman. That ain't why I gave her the money.
Be quiet and listen.
Has a tough time with the judge.
You're not acting grown.
So what's the difference?
You want to talk back? Bad, bad, bad.
Ooh, bad girls you love to hate. Today on Judge Joe Brown.
These sisters split up after one refuses to let her boyfriend spend the night. Hairstylist Kiana Moyer is suing her sister for unpaid rent. Defendant Lafreda Moyer says the plaintiff would not let her boyfriend stay at the house. Now it's Joe time.
Ms. Moore, you're suing your sister. Ms. Moore,
Apparently you two rented a place together, and there's a dispute about move out and remaining rentals and expenses and justifications for moving out. So let's see, Mrs. Kiona Moore.
Yes.
I believe you're the plaintiff, so you start first.
Well, we moved in February of 2009, and I didn't want to really do it because, you know what I'm saying, I was just stressed out dealing with a lot of things at the time. And I
think you were pregnant at the time.
Yes, sir. I was pregnant at the time, but I agreed to do it because that's my sister, and I was trying to, you know what I'm saying, save money at the same time by going in with her.
Times are hard.
Right. So I agreed to do it with her or whatever. And anyway, she stiffed me, you know what I'm saying, 2 months into the lease agreement, whatever. She paid her rent or whatever. She was staying with her boyfriend before that. And
he got busted on a drug charge.
Yes, sir.
Little matter of being locked up.
Correct.
But he got out.
Correct. And when he got out, you know what I'm saying, she wanted him to come stay with us, and I didn't want him to come stay with us because I don't like him. He don't have no type of income, and I got my kids there, her kids was there, and you know what I'm saying, it wasn't big enough, you know what I'm saying?
And her baby dad
Well,
was
I
there,
kind of got that, what you're saying. I don't know if I know what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, but I don't know it because I wasn't there. But you're telling me about it.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir, Your Honor. I didn't want him to stay there because, you know what I'm saying, because I don't like him, and I just didn't like him at all, and I still don't like him, and she, you know
all
what I'm
right,
saying,
so
agreed
you
to
didn't
give me-
want her boyfriend to stay there.
No.
So is that why you say she moved out?
Yeah, because she wanted him to move in, and I didn't want him to move in. And she tried to, you know, gradually take a little bit of stuff at a time out the house or whatever, try to make it seem like she was there, but she really wasn't there. Then all of a sudden, she just didn't come home.
So she moved out according to you.
It was-
Hold your point, hold your point.
I left.
You say she moved out 2 months into the lease.
Right. Like, she was, like, trying to make it seem like she was still there because she had a little bit of stuff there, but her body wasn't there. She wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? The kids was there, whatever.
Well, when did she stop paying the rent?
April. She didn't give up no money for April.
And you say that you were there. Let's see, you had a 13-year-old and 12-year-old, and you were pregnant at the time.
Yes, sir.
And I believe the defendant had a 17-year-old, 2 16-year-old twins, and a 12-year-old.
Right.
So you're trying to get unpaid rentals, and you're giving her credit for some payments that she apparently made. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Well, how many payments did she make in
she,
October through February?
Yeah, she was giving me money. She started giving me money in October because him and her was having little issues or whatever. And
Him and her?
Her and her boyfriend was having issues because that's who she was staying with. So she started giving me money, you know what I'm saying, because she might have had to, you know what I'm saying, come back home or whatever, and I needed the money.
That ain't why I gave her the money. I was giving her the
wait. Time out. I understand you have a different position on these issues.
I'm saying she ain't telling the right. If she
well,
don't tell her,
if
right.
you want to tell me your side, I suggest you wait till she gets through. Because if you keep trying to interrupt like that, you cut things off, and that takes extra time, and you may try the arbitrator's patience. Let her finish, and then you'll get the floor. Now, I've looked at your sworn accounting, and I see the lease, the payment receipts, and the promissory agreement. Now, why do we have a promissory agreement here?
Your Honor, because I kept asking her for my money. She was having money here and there, and I kept asking her when she was going to give me my money. She tried to write the promissory notes because I guess because I was getting on her nerves about my money. So she was going to tell me that she was going to give me my money back this year when she filed her income taxes, and she ain't gave me nothing. But that's why she wrote the promissory note talking about she was going to give me my money when she got her taxes, and still ain't gave me my money.
It ain't.
Well, why do you say she moved out if she was still paying partial rent?
She didn't start paying me no rent until October.
Let me explain it to you.
Well, no, you don't yet. Wait.
Man.
Maybe that's why. Don't, man. You don't have permission to do that. I'm a lot older than you. What are you, 34?
Yeah.
All right. Now, you started off early being a mother.
Who?
You.
I was 17 on my own when I had my first child in my own place.
That's grown?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I was on my own. I wasn't staying with my mother. It was grown enough to have my own
Well,
place
maybe
and
what
work.
the problem is the reason you had that one at 17
and
not
then my
grown.
twins at 18, and then my last one at
Next
21.
to it when you weren't grown, and your parent, were you married?
And she ain't either, so what's the difference?
So you're not grown then, and maybe what we have is a case of, what is it, arrested development, because you're not acting.
If her man can lay up in the house where I'm paying rent, my man can lay up in the house where I'm paying rent.
You're not going there right now. I'm trying to restore.
He was giving me money too.
Okay.
Excuse me, both of you can walk out the back door with nothing resolved in a little bit if you don't stop. I'm trying to restore decorum. Now, the point is at 34, I expect you to act like you're full grown. Maybe there is arrested development because you're not acting grown in here. Now, if already you want to talk back, I'm not your sister.
Okay.
I suggest you listen very quietly. Don't say anything. Try and follow the instructions. Because when you can't follow the instructions I'm giving you in here, I have a suspicion that part of the problem that we're dealing with right now relative to this arbitration is because you don't listen, or if you do listen, you don't comprehend. Now, be quiet. Shut your mouth. You have to have discipline and maturity if you're going to teach it to your children. I suspect.
My kids is grown.
No, they're not.
Yeah,
they're not
good.
grown.
Don't even
Trust
speak on
me.
my kids. You don't know my kids.
Trust me, I know you.
So
and the
don't
fruit
know
doesn't fall too far from the tree.
You just
I know you. I can tell right now. I know all I need to know about you relative to your inability to exercise self-control.
Judge, you think you know me, but you don't know me.
Oh, but I do.
No, you don't.
Let's see. What we added up, I've had somewhere in my legal career about 85,000 individuals I've dealt with.
I mean, that's
now,
true.
do you think if you see 85,000 people over 40 years going back and forth with this, you don't feel? Yeah, I do.
Listen.
We'll be right back with Judge Joe Brown.
He had the same job that my dude had.
Well, did he have a job?
Yeah, on the street corner, yeah.
So both of you have got boyfriends that have little hustles, I assume, moving merchandise.
Right.
Bad girls you love to hate today on Judge Joe Brown.
We're back with Judge Joe Brown. The defendant in this case insists that if her sister's man can stay at the house, so should her man. But when the plaintiff refused, she left. Let's see what the judge has to say.
Now, you have the floor right now. We're going to you. Now, what is your problem?
March and April, I paid rent. She had a problem. She don't have the problem with my dude. Her dude got the problem with my dude.
Well, excuse me. That's not what I really am interested in right now.
Okay,
I need to find this out. Be quiet and listen.
This is where the issue comes from.
Listen. You say that in your complaint, your man was helping you out with your kids and things. He had money. You're over here offering up. Why don't you get undefensive a little bit, uncross your arms?
I'm cool.
Well, let me put it to you this way. Stop being so defensive. Open up, be receptive. And what happens is I'm going to ask you a couple of questions.
Okay, come on.
Now, just listen. Your mouth runneth over.
Yes.
Take a breath.
Now I'm ready.
Now, she has said that her boyfriend helped her out with the bills and her children. You say he didn't have a job.
He had the same job that my dude had.
Well, did he have a job?
Yeah, on the street corner, yeah. Now, can he file taxes on that? No, he can't.
That's not true, Your Honor.
You know, you should leave the efforts to humor to me.
Well, can he file taxes on it? No. He didn't work a 9 to 5 like we worked a 9 to 5. We was paying rent. Now, what was the problem with my dude being there if her dude was there?
You're saying her boyfriend just had a hustle. He didn't have a job.
Right.
And that's not true.
All right. Now, your boyfriend apparently had a hustle, or at least he got accused of one, moving a little merchandise.
Right.
So both of you have got boyfriends that have little hustles, I assume, moving merchandise.
Right.
No.
So these kids, including 1, 2, 3 sons, 3 boys, are supposed to be getting role models to unemployed males who are moving merchandise to poison where they live.
Can I please say something?
No, you can't. So your defense, I'm reading, is that it should be basically tit for tat.
Sauce for the goose is sauce for the gander. In this case, sauce for the goose is sauce for the other goose. If she can have her boyfriend spend the night, why not yours, since both of them do the same thing?
Not even about what they do. I mean...
No, it is about what they do. Be quiet and listen, because one of the issues that I have to consider is whether or not there's what they call constructive eviction, or there is such conduct or such circumstances as would demand that the circumstance that you two put yourselves into be broken up. The bottom line is did you have cause to abandon the place?
Yeah.
No.
What?
Why should I pay rent and I got to go somewhere else and pay for a hotel room to be with my man, and I'm paying rent in the house, and her man laying up in the same house that we splitting the rent in?
Okay, but he giving her money, though. Your man wasn't giving her nothing.
He's giving me money.
So
I don't know what her man giving her.
He paid your part of the rent.
That's after I was gone. After I was gone.
He paid your part of the rent,
After I was gone.
He paid
I'm
your
had
rent.
enough. Both of you out of here. This is ridiculous.
This courtroom is now in recess.
Well, to his company, the ex-con boyfriend made 3 a crowd for the plaintiff, but the judge felt the courtroom got too crowded with mouth. This case was dismissed.
If my dog had done something, I would accept responsibility.
Stop being so arrogantly ignorant.
Government analyst Susan Grucke is suing for vet bills. Defendant Jason Bullock says no one witnessed the attack. Now, here's Judge Joe Brown.
Ms. Grucke, you're alleging that Mr. Bullock's pit bull attacked your beagle and caused injury to your pet's left hind leg. It was broken. What happened?
Okay, Your Honor. On March 16th, about 3 o'clock, I was getting ready to take my dog to the vet, so I needed to take him for a walk to get the stool sample and urine sample. And as I was walking behind the alley to get back to my house, I noticed about 2 houses down that a dog just had darted out of the house and out through the gate and towards me. And normally I am not afraid of dogs at all, but when I had seen the dog come up to me, right as I came up to it, I noticed it was a pit bull. But I always give the dog benefit of the doubt. He may just be sniffing. Well, I had noticed that it started sniffing, and then all of a sudden, 5 seconds later, it had just laid into my dog. And I was beating it, I was kicking it, I was cussing, I was doing whatever humanely possible to get that dog off of mine. I don't know how it happened, but for some reason, I ended up behind the dog, straddled it with my arms around its shoulders, holding it back. And all of a sudden, it let go. And it just acted like nothing happened. And I look over at my dog, and his right hind leg was dangling. There was nothing I could do because I had to keep that dog back. And I knew if I had let the dog go, he might go back after my dog. So I had screamed. I was still screaming at this point.
I'd say, considering your description of what you're giving, it wasn't a scream. It was more of a yell.
Okay, I was yelling.
All right.
And at that time, the neighbor...
Don't diminish your accomplishment by demonstrating admirable courage under circumstances of great adversity.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I would say. So at that point, the neighbor had come out.
By the way, when did you get back from Iraq?
About 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. And she had come out, and I was screaming or yelling, and I had said, "Could you please get my dog out of this situation?" And she says to me that her back she had just gotten back surgery, she couldn't do anything. And so that is, as soon as that happened, someone had come out of his house and came and got the dog.
There's nobody at my house.
And when that happened, this girl came out. At the time, I thought it was his daughter. I didn't know this family at all. And I come to find out later that it's a girlfriend. Came out to get the dog, picked the dog up.
What are you doing?
It's actually
You're
my
mumbling.
wife.
I can hardly
Sorry,
hear
it's
you.
my wife, actually.
Excuse me. Well, I can't hear you, but you're keeping me from hearing her, and I need to hear her. Now, why are you doing it? Don't do that, please.
Okay, so she had come out, she had picked the dog up, and she said, "Oh, this dog has never done anything like that. I can't believe it." That's when she had said the name Callie. And so she had brought the dog back into the house, and she came back out with her information, and she had given it to me. During this time...
No, I was there when that was given.
Excuse me. You're over 21 years of age, you're married, and apparently you want to act like you're 6 years old because you didn't get enough English in school to comprehend. Please do not interrupt. No.
When she had come back out, that's when I had ran down to the alleyway to get my husband, and I had got him and told him that Jordan has been attacked, and he came back. And that's when, as soon as my husband got back, I went and immediately ran and got my car, and got the car and brought it back down the alleyway and put my dog into the car and immediately took him to the vet. Things were said to my husband. He cannot be here to represent himself because he got sick, but it was told to him that all the vet bills would be paid. And
all right,
he would even say that...
That's what we're here for, to deal with by arbitration today.
That was under the assumption my dog actually attacked her dog. I did not know when I pulled up on the scene what was going on. I was not there.
And again, last time, do not interrupt so I can hear her points. You, sir, will have the hot seat soon enough. You will have the floor to defend yourself. Now, proceed.
Okay, sorry, Your Honor. Yes, and I had taken it to the vet, and my husband had told me that he was...
All right, we can't get into the settlement. Now, let's take a look at the tape.
He walks with a limp now. He has a hard time getting up.
How old is he?
He's about 12.
Oh, poor guy.
Yes, and he acts the same, but he does have trouble walking, and his leg is fused together, so it does not bend at the bottom portion of his leg. It is one piece instead of two now.
All right, you've submitted a sworn accounting. I think you've set up a basic, what they call a prima facie case. Now pass up the originals or anything else you have to support your claim. Madam Sonia, would you be so kind as pass that up? Let's see, one of the items is the x-ray that we just looked at. Now, all right, you have the floor.
Okay. On March 16th, I left my home to go pick up my daughter from elementary school, 5 blocks away. When I left, my dog was locked inside the house. My wife proceeded to leave the house as well to walk to the corner store to get my daughter a juice for after school.
You have a 5-year-old and an 18-month-old.
Yes, I do. The 18-month-old was with her aunt at the time. When I pulled back up from picking my daughter up from school, my wife was standing outside with Susan and her dog and the neighbor at the back of my fence. And my wife told me that she said Callie had attacked Susan's dog. I asked my wife where my dog was. Susan said, I don't know, it ran off.
So she said there was an attack.
Okay, the dog was laying there. Looked fine to me. I mean, you could obviously tell it had a broken leg, but other than that, the dog was not startled, did not look frightened. There was no fur all over the ground.
He was shaking uncontrollably.
There was no blood all over the ground.
The dog may have been in shock.
We'll be right back with Judge Joe Brown.
I lived in my house for 3 years. I've never seen this woman before in my life. Okay, how do you explain my dog being locked in my house when I went to look for it then with no windows?
Ain't my problem.
It's not my problem either.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
Go ahead.
Other than that, I lived in my house for 3 years. I've never seen this woman before in my life.
She's a citizen of the country.
Behind my yard.
She's a citizen of the country.
She's on a public behind my yard before.
She's on a public.
Excuse me.
Stop it. Why can't she be on one of the public streets, highways, thoroughfares, alleys, parking lots, easements for benefit of the public?
I'm not saying she can't, but why on this day was she
She does happen to be.
But never before. Okay, how do you explain my dog being locked in my house when I went to look for it then with no windows?
Ain't my problem.
It's not my problem either. I don't have the right. No, it's not.
Be quiet. Your ignorance is appalling.
Your ignorance is appalling. There's no way for my dog to get out of my house.
That's a $100 fine assessment. Now, you keep it up.
I'm not keeping anything up. I'm
close your mouth. You sound foolish.
My case.
Do you know how bad you sound?
If my dog had done something, I would accept responsibility.
It did.
No, my dog did not.
Okay, how did the leg get broken?
Secured inside of a house.
And it got out because the security was not effective.
And it got itself back in? You've never been to my house. How do you know if my security is effective or not?
When you got there, foolish one, according to your own testimony, your wife's standing there. You're looking at the dog on the ground. Your dog's there. If your wife, since you put the hearsay in, said your dog attacked her.
My dog was inside the house. I never seen my dog.
So it doesn't make any difference.
It does make a complete difference. My dog was never out of the house.
It's your dog.
Okay, I take responsibility for my dog when it does something. My dog was never out of my house.
And you are pathetic, sir.
Okay.
And I'm talking to other people out there besides you.
Too. I think so, too.
Well, you think you're pathetic? I agree with you 100%.
Hey, I think you're pathetic, too.
And by the way,
Wow.
He's got a dog to protect his loved ones, and they're going to get eaten up one day.
Stay quiet.
My
Stay
dog
quiet
rides.
enough.
My kids ride my
Yeah,
dog.
I know. They're psychos.
Whatever.
They've been bred, interbred too
Like
quickly.
you, huh?
They're
Okay,
not a
that's
recognized breed. What? That's another 100. Now, you open your mouth, I'll let you come visit me in my chambers, and you
Whatever,
say it to
dude.
my face. We won't keep a
We
record of
can't
that.
talk. That's
Punk.
fine. Take me to your chambers then.
Come on, come on. Don't have the nerve. Loud bravado to cover up his fear, inadequacy, cowardice, and general lack of manly character.
Wow.
That's what you're fighting for.
And I tried to go the civil route and give him
I
notes and
understand.
stuff.
That's what you're fighting to protect, is idiots like that who got the idea that they no longer have to depend on themselves. Somebody's got to do it. Bunch of fools. You know what? His conduct in here was rather odd, and I would say it was somewhat assaultive. That's subject to in-standard damages in addition to the docket of the arbitration proceedings. You also have an underlying cause of action that brings you here, which is the injury to your pet. We have, in that instance, $2,852 of actual damages. What will happen is, because of the actual what I took to be assaultive conduct, that I saw you have to get into a defensive mind posture. That'll be $100 actual damages and $2,900 in punitive for his conduct, and I'll also give you the $200 administrative assessments against him. So your recovery is going to be, oh, wow, $5,852. That's $100 punitive in the cause of action that accrued here while I was watching, the $2,900 in punitive damages, and the $2,852 actual on the first case.
And this courtroom is now in recess.
The defendant was under the misconception that out-yelling the judge would help his case. His lack of sympathy and respect was startling.
A hard-headed woman
That ain't why I gave her the money.
Be quiet and listen.
has a tough time with the judge.
You're not acting grown.
So what's the difference?
You want to talk back? Bad, bad, bad.
Ooh, bad girls you love to hate. Today on Judge Joe Brown.
These sisters split up after one refuses to let her boyfriend spend the night. Hairstylist Kiana Moyer is suing her sister for unpaid rent. Defendant Lafreda Moyer says the plaintiff would not let her boyfriend stay at the house. Now it's Joe time.
Ms. Moore, you're suing your sister, Ms. Moore. Apparently you two rented a place together, and there's a dispute about move out and remaining rentals and expenses and justifications for moving out. So let's see, Mrs. Kiana Moore.
Yes.
I believe you're the plaintiff, so you start first.
Well, we moved in February of 2009, and I didn't want to really do it because, you know what I'm saying, I was just stressed out dealing with a lot of things at the time. And I
think you were pregnant at the time.
Yes, sir. I was pregnant at the time, but I agreed to do it because that's my sister, and I was trying to, you know what I'm saying, save money at the same time by going in with her. Because,
Times are hard.
Right. So I agreed to do it with her, whatever. And anyway, she stiffed me, you know what I'm saying, 2 months into the lease agreement, whatever. She paid her rent or whatever. She was staying with her boyfriend before that. And
He got busted on a drug charge.
yes, sir.
Little
And
matter of being locked up.
correct.
But he got out.
Correct. And when he got out, you know what I'm saying, she wanted him to come stay with us, and I didn't want him to come stay with us because I don't like him. He don't have no type of income, and I got my kids there, her kids was there, and you know what I'm saying, it wasn't big enough, you know what I'm saying?
And her baby dad
Well,
was
I
there,
kind of
so.
got that, what you're saying. I don't know if I know what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, but I don't know it because I wasn't there. But you're telling me about it.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir, Your Honor. I didn't want him to stay there because, you know what I'm saying, because I don't like him, and I just didn't like him at all, and I still don't like him, and she, you know
All
what I'm
right,
saying,
so
agreed
you
to give
didn't
me-
want her boyfriend to stay there.
No.
So is that why you say she moved out?
Yeah, because she wanted him to move in, and I didn't want him to move in. And she tried to, you know, gradually take a little bit of stuff at a time out the house or whatever, try to make it seem like she was there, but she really wasn't there. Then all of a sudden, she just didn't come home.
So she moved out according to you. Hold your point, hold your point.
I left.
You say she moved out 2 months into the lease.
Right. Like, she was, like, trying to make it seem like she was still there because she had a little bit of stuff there, but her body wasn't there. She wasn't there. You know what I'm saying? The kids was there, whatever.
Well, when did she stop paying the rent?
April. She didn't give up no money for April.
And you say that you were there. Let's see, you had a 13-year-old and 12-year-old, and you were pregnant at the time.
Yes, sir.
And I believe the defendant had a 17-year-old, 2 16-year-old twins, and a 12-year-old.
Right.
So you're trying to get unpaid rentals, and you're giving her credit for some payments that she apparently made. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Well, how many payments did she make in October through February?
Yeah, she was giving me money. She started giving me money in October because him and her was having little issues or whatever. And
him and her?
Her and her boyfriend was having issues because that's who she was staying with. So she started giving me money, you know what I'm saying, because she might have had to, you know what I'm saying, come back home or whatever, and I needed the money.
That ain't why I gave her the money. I was giving her
wait. Time out. I understand you have a different position on these issues.
I'm saying she ain't telling her right. If you
you want to tell me your side, I suggest you wait till she gets through. Because if you keep trying to interrupt like that, you cut things off, and that takes extra time, and you may try the arbitrator's patience. Let her finish, and then you'll get the floor. Now, I've looked at your sworn accounting, and I see the lease, the payment receipts, and the promissory agreement. Now, why do we have a promissory agreement here?
Your Honor, because I kept asking her for my money. She was having money here and there, and I kept asking her when she was going to give me my money. She tried to write the promissory notes because I guess because I was getting on her nerves about my money. So she was going to tell me that she was going to give me my money back this year when she filed her income taxes, and she ain't gave me nothing. But that's why she wrote the promissory note talking about she was going to give me my money when she got her taxes, and still ain't gave me my money.
It ain't.
Well, why do you say she moved out if she was still paying partial rent?
She didn't start paying me no rent until October.
Let me explain it to you.
Well, no, you don't yet. Wait.
Man.
Maybe that's why. Man. You don't have permission to do that. A lot older than you. What are you, 34?
Yeah.
All right. Now, you started off early being a mother.
Who?
You.
I was 17 on my own when I had my first child in my own place.
That's grown?
It doesn't matter. I was on my own. I wasn't staying with my mother. It was grown enough to have my own place.
Well, maybe what the problem is the reason you had that one at 17
and
not
then my
grown.
Twins at 18, and then my last one at 21.
Next to it when you weren't grown, and your parent, were you married?
And she ain't either, so what's the difference?
So you're not grown then, and maybe what we have is a case of, what is it, arrested development, because you're not acting.
If her man can lay up in the house where I'm paying rent, my man can lay up in the house where I'm paying rent.
You're not going there right now. I'm trying to restore.
He was giving me money too.
Okay.
Excuse me, both of you can walk out the back door with nothing resolved in a little bit if you don't stop. I'm trying to restore decorum. Now, the point is at 34, I expect you to act like you're full grown. Maybe there is arrested development because you're not acting grown in here. Now, if already you want to talk back, I'm not your sister.
Okay.
I suggest you listen very quietly. Don't say anything. Try and follow the instructions. Because when you can't follow the instructions I'm giving you in here, I have a suspicion that part of the problem that we're dealing with right now relative to this arbitration is because you don't listen, or if you do listen, you don't comprehend. Now, be quiet. Shut your mouth. You have to have discipline and maturity if you're going to teach it to your children. I suspect.
My kids is grown.
No, they're not.
Yeah,
they're not
good.
grown.
Don't even
Trust
speak on
me.
my kids. You don't know my kids.
Trust me. I know you.
So you
and the
don't know
fruit
me.
doesn't fall too far
Well, you
from
don't
the
know
tree.
me. You just
I know
met me.
you.
No,
I can
you
tell
don't
right
know
now. I know all
You
I
don't
need to
know-
know
no,
about
you don't.
relative to your inability to
Okay,
exercise
whatever.
self-control.
You the judge. Okay, you think you know me, but you don't know me.
Oh, but I do.
No, you don't.
Let's see, what we added up, I've had somewhere in my legal career about 85,000 individuals I've dealt with.
I mean, that's
Now,
true.
do you think if you see 85,000 people
You don't know
over
me.
40 years going back and forth
still
with
don't
this,
know
you
me?
don't feel? Yeah, I do.
Listen.
We'll be right back with Judge Joe Brown.
He had the same job that my dude had.
Well, did he have a job?
Yeah, on the street corner, yeah.
So both of you have got boyfriends that have little hustles, I assume, moving merchandise.
Right.
Bad girls you love to hate today on Judge Joe Brown.
We're back with Judge Joe Brown. The defendant in this case insists that if her sister's man can stay at the house, so should her man. But when the plaintiff refused, she left. Let's see what the judge has to say.
Now, you have the floor right now. We're going to you. Now,
Okay,
what is your problem?
March and April, I paid rent. She had a problem. She don't have the problem with my dude. Her dude got the problem with my dude.
Well, excuse me, that's not what I really am interested in right now.
Okay,
I
but
need
this
to
is
find
where the-
this out. Be quiet and
this is where
listen.
the issue comes
Listen. You say that in your complaint, your man was helping you out with your kids and things. He had money. You're over here offering up. Why don't you get undefensive a little bit, uncross your arms?
I'm cool.
Well, let me put it to you this way. Stop being so defensive. Open up, be receptive. And what happens is I'm going to ask you a couple of questions.
Okay, come on.
Now, just listen. Your mouth runneth over.
Yes.
Take a breath.
Now I'm ready.
Now, she has said that her boyfriend helped her out with the bills and her children. You say he didn't have a job.
He had the same job that my dude had.
Well, did he have a job?
Yeah, on the street corner, yeah. Now, can he file taxes on that? No, he can't.
True. That's not true, Your Honor.
You know, you should leave the efforts to humor to me.
Now, can he file taxes on it? No. He didn't work a 9 to 5 like we worked a 9 to 5. We was paying rent. Now, what was the problem with my dude being there if her dude was there?
You're saying her boyfriend just had a hustle. He didn't have a job.
Right.
And that's not true.
All right. Now, your boyfriend apparently had a hustle, or at least he got accused of one, moving a little merchandise.
Right.
So both of you have got boyfriends that have little hustles, I assume, moving merchandise.
Right.
No.
So these kids, including 1, 2, 3 sons, 3 boys, are supposed to be getting role models to unemployed males who are moving merchandise to poison where they live.
Can I please say something?
No, you can't. So your defense, I'm reading, is that it should be basically tit for tat. Sauce for the goose is sauce for the gander. In this case, sauce for the goose is sauce for the other goose. If she can have her boyfriend spend the night, why not yours, since both of them do the same thing?
Not even about what they do. I mean...
No, it is about
No,
what
it
they
ain't
do.
about
Be
what they
quiet
do.
and listen, because one of the issues that I have to consider is whether or not there's what they call constructive eviction, or there is such conduct or such circumstances as would demand that the circumstance that you two put yourselves into be broken up. The bottom line is did you have cause to abandon the place?
Yeah.
No.
What?
Why should I pay rent and I got to go somewhere else and pay for a hotel room to be with my man, and I'm paying rent in the house, and her man laying up in the same house that we splitting the rent in?
Okay, but he giving her money, though. Your man wasn't giving her
He's
nothing.
giving me money.
So
I don't know
wait,
what her man giving
but
her.
He paid your part of the rent.
That's after I was gone. After I was gone.
He paid your part of the rent,
After I was gone.
He paid
I'm
your
had
rent.
enough. Both of you out of here. This is ridiculous.
This courtroom is now in recess.
Well, 2 is company. The ex-con boyfriend made 3 a crowd for the plaintiff, but the judge felt the courtroom got too crowded with mouth. This case was dismissed.